When Lil Durk's brother was allegedly killed by Stephon Mack, Wallace Peoples had one message for the rapper.
But I had to leave. I had to let that go. When I let that go, I started to grow.
Lil Durk's case just took a shocking turn. New footage has just gone viral, and it might completely change the direction of Lil Durk's legal situation. In fact, for the first time, the death penalty is being talked about. Let's break it down. Surveillance footage recently surfaced online showing what appears to be Lil Durk at the scene of Stephon Mack's murder. In the video, Mack is ambushed by masked gunmen men who many believe were hired by Durk since the footage dropped fans, and people in the streets have been speculating that this may have been revenge. Why? Because Stephon Mack allegedly had ties to the murder of Durk's brother Dethanga. Death that deeply affected the Chicago rapper. After Thang's passing, Durk went silent for a while. But when he returned, his music and presence were more aggressive than ever, now with footage placing someone who looks like Durk at the scene. People believe this hit was personal, not random. Some think it was a plan. Execution payback for Dethang. Others call it just another internet conspiracy. But here's where things get serious. The feds are now reportedly building a case against Durk using digital evidence in it. DNA or fingerprints, but text messages, IG stories, and phone records. This is modern-day detective work. Phones are like snitching devices, now recording everything. One text message found on Anthony Montgomery Wilson's phone caught attention. Wilson is one of the men indicted for pulling the trigger on Mack. The text read, "Did that Durk gave you that money?" At first it might seem harmless, but in context, it raises a red flag. It makes it look like Durk might have financially backed the hit, and in the streets when money comes up right after a killing, it's rarely about legit business, it's about payment. On top of that, court records mention phone call data and social media posts, including one that also suggests Durk gave someone money. All of this is starting to paint a very clear picture for investigators, and if it sticks, Durk could be in serious danger, not just of prison, but of losing everything. And here's where things get even crazier. When investigators notice the same names, messages, and activity happening across different phones and platforms, they call that a pattern. And patterns are exactly what build federal cases. The fact that multiple people were discussing whether Lil Durk paid money in connection to Stephon Mack's murder suggests this wasn't just some random street beef. This looked like a well-organized, planned operation, and that's exactly what prosecutors need to prove: a murder for hire conspiracy. But here's the twist that makes this whole case even wilder. The most damaging piece of evidence didn't come from a wiretap or secret informant. It came directly from Lil Durk's own Instagram story. Right after Stephon Mack was murdered, Durk posted an Instagram story with just one word, "Aha," along with a cutout image many believed referenced his song "Aha" to investigators. That post looked like Durk was celebrating the murder. Let that sink. And according to reports, just hours after Mack was killed outside a youth center, Durk was allegedly online bragging about it, not hiding a thing. And here's what really raises eyebrows. Song "Aha" officially dropped on February 22nd, 2022, and it includes lyrics like, "If you feel some type of way, you better slide and get revenge. He say therapy ain't helping, he been killin' for a cleanse." Now, sure, these might sound like normal drill rap lyrics to some, but when paired with the timing of the murder, prosecutors say it looks like Durk was speaking directly about the situation. Think about it. Mack was killed in January. Durk posts "Aha" immediately after, then releases a song about revenge and cleansing through murder in February to a federal prosecutor. That's not just music, it's circumstantial evidence of premeditation and celebration of the crime. This is the type of thing that makes defense lawyers lose sleep, because when your client appears to be documenting crimes on social media, it makes the prosecution's job way easier. And in today's world where drill rap lyrics are under constant legal scrutiny, this case could end up setting major legal precedents. But wait, text messages and social media aren't the only parts of the case. The feds also claim to have street intelligence people from the inside who say they know exactly what happened. Confidential sources told investigators that Durk offered money for the hit, according to official court documents. Now, using informants is nothing new and organized crime case, but it's risky. These informants usually have their own legal problems and might say anything to get a lighter sentence. So while their word can be powerful, it's also questionable. One of the biggest issues with using informants is their testimony can be powerful, but it can also be unreliable. If they're just saying what the feds want to hear to save themselves, the defense Violence is definitely going to call that out. What makes this situation even more complicated is how prosecutors say the alleged crimes were mixed in with a legit business. According to them, this wasn't just a group of rappers, this was an organized crew using a record label as a front for violence, including murder and assault, all reportedly under Lil Durk's leadership. If that turns out to be true, it means the label wasn't just hiring street guys, it was actually a criminal enterprise hiding behind the music industry. That's next level stuff, like something straight out of a mob movie, and the consequences, they're huge. If prosecutors prove that a successful label like this was being used for organized crime, every rap group or street-linked label could face the same kind of investigation. The industry could change overnight, but it gets deeper. This isn't just about Stephon Mack's case. The feds are using the Mack case to argue against giving Lil Durk bail in a different case involving Quando Rondo. They're trying to show a pattern that Durk has a history of murder for hire. Plot's not just one incident. Basically, they're saying he's been running an entire operation using his fame and money to take out enemies and settle scores. If prosecutors can prove that, we're looking at RICO charges, the kind that could lock Durk up for life. Their theory is that Lil Durk was living a double life: superstar and public crime boss, and privating his music success to fund real-life street justice and not just small-time beefs. They're talking about organized, targeted hits, but here's where it gets weird. Lil Durk hasn't been officially charged in Stephon Mack's murder. That's something his legal team is very confident about, so confident in fact that they recently offered $5 million in bail in another case, pointing out that Durk hasn't been charged in the Mack case as proof that the government doesn't have enough evidence. That bold move raises serious questions. Does the defense know something we don't? Or are they just betting the feds don't have enough to make it stick? Two other men, Anthony, Montgomery, Wilson, and Preston Powell, were indicted in 2023 for Mack's murder, so why hasn't Durk been charged? Maybe the texts and social media posts aren't as solid as they seem. Maybe the footage everyone's talking about doesn't clearly show Durk's face, or maybe the feds are just waiting for the right moment to hit him with charges they know will hold up. Right now, the internet is split. Some people think the government's case isn't strong enough that it all sounds worse in the headlines than it actually is in court. Others believe charges are coming, and this is just the calm before the storm. Either way, one thing's for sure: this situation has the potential to shake the entire rap industry.
Cause you see, even got that walk like, man, I dead shot me, man, I sparked this whole lot up, nigga. Right? You could tell, he was looking over like, man, I'm dead.
Social media has been buzzing with speculation, with posts noting that federal authorities may not have sufficient evidence to link Lil Durk to Stephon Mack's murder in Chicago. This suggests that maybe the case isn't as airtight as it initially appeared. To truly understand why there's so much speculation, we got to understand where this all started. We got to go back to the trenches, back to where Lil Durk learned that in his world you either make it out or you don't make it at all. Let's dig. Lil Durk's history with violence. Lil Durk is the voice of the streets, the king of Chicago drill, the man who went from eating government cheese to Grammy nominations, but underneath all those platinum plaques and sold out shows, some believe there's some dark brewing, some real street justice type underscore that could change everything we thought we knew about this dude. See, Durk didn't grow up in no suburban fantasy. This man came up in Englewood, one of the most dangerous hoods in Chicago, and that's saying something in a city that's known for gun violence. This wasn't just a rough neighborhood, this was straight up survival mode 247s. Now, check this out. In most neighborhoods, kids are only worried about homework and video games, but in Englewood, different story entirely. That's the type of environment that breeds real ones, but it also breeds the type of loyalty and street codes that can follow you long after you make it out the hood. And Durk's story, man, his pops was deep in the game before he was even walking.
Yeah, I caught $8 million and a lot, like 6 bricks. Like $8 million, 6 bricks.
Hold up, let that sink in for a second. We're talking about real street loyalty here. Lil Durk's father, Dante Banks, was moving major weight back in the day. And when the feds came knocking, he didn't say a word. Instead of snitching on his right hand man, Larry Hoover, he took a life sentence. That's some old school gangster stuff, and it set the tone for everything that came after. In the Banks family, the no snitching code wasn't just a rap lyric, it was a way of life, a family rule so serious that it cost Durk's father his freedom. And when his dad got locked up, everything changed. The family went from living good, struggling hard. Imagine having everything one day and the next 10 people squeezed into a tiny 3-bedroom house. That kind of fall hit's different. It'll humble you fast and it'll make you hungry in ways most people could never understand. This is where the real Durk was built, not in a fancy studio, but in a home where dinner wasn't guaranteed and survival meant learning the streets early.
What 300 OTF stand for?
OTF stand for Only the Family, man. 300 just part of our movement, man.
Lil Durk's crew OTF was more than just a music label. It was a movement, a brotherhood born in the trenches of Chicago's toughest neighborhoods, but according to federal prosecutors, it was also much more than that. A new indictment claims OTF actually a criminal enterprise involved in serious violence, including murders allegedly under Lil Durk's orders, while fans thought they were just dropping hit songs. The feds say they were dropping bodies to Durk's rise from a hungry kid in the streets to a chart-topping rapper looked like the perfect success story, like he had escaped the cycle of violence that trapped so many in his hood. But on January 7th, 2022, everything took a dark turn. Stephon Mack, 24, was shot and killed. As he left, a youth center gunman jumped out of a car and opened fire, even hitting a security guard who survived. It wasn't some random robbery or gang shootout, according to investigators. This was a targeted hit, and Stephon Mack wasn't just anybody. He was allegedly the leader of Smashville, a branch of the Gangster Disciples, and had ties to the murder of Lil Durk's brother. D-Thang back in June 2021, that's where things get deep, real deep, because in the streets, some debts are only paid in blood. Investigators believe Durk retaliated, that Mack's death was revenge, a planned hit, not just a coincidence, and that it was Durk himself who orchestrated it all. This wasn't just some petty beef. This was about family, about the unwritten street codes that demand loyalty, silence, and vengeance. The same loyalty that made Durk's music so raw and real could be the same loyalty that brought him back into violence. What makes this case so wild isn't just the murder charge, it's the way prosecutors say they can prove it, and a lot of the most damaging evidence, it allegedly comes from Durk himself. Now, some people are saying the feds are overreaching, trying to criminalize hip-hop and turn lyrics into confessions. Others think this case is airtight and that Durk might actually be guilty. Either way, the evidence is shocking, and if it holds up, this isn't just about rap. It's about a superstar facing life for murder. The same realness that made Durk a legend in the streets might be the very thing that takes it all away. Let's talk about what happens when street cred meets federal time. Surveillance footage, shell casings, and even social media clips, all of it was stacked against Lil Durk. But despite everything, Durk beat the case after the evidence went cold. That moment showed one thing clear: Durk ain't new to serious heat, whether that's from the streets or from the law. Fast forward to 2021, and things get even darker. Durk's older brother D-Thang was shot and killed outside a Chicago nightclub. That moment hit hard, even though Durk stayed quiet in public word. On the street was that Stephon Mack, a name most people never heard until now, had some type of connection to D-Thang's murder. Some still believe Mack was the one who pulled the trigger, or at least was connected to the crew that did it. He wasn't some random dude. Stephon Mack was deep in the streets, allegedly tied to a set that's been beefing with Durk's crew for a long time. So when new footage recently surfaced, people started connecting the dots. Was Mack's murder revenge, a message, or just a deadly coincidence? In a city like Chicago, where beef turns deadly fast, that timeline is hard to ignore. Durk beats a major case, then loses his brother, and not long after, a known rival ends up dead. Now the internet is going crazy with theories, and even if this footage doesn't hold up in court, it's already made a major impact in the court of public opinion. But things get even worse, because Lil Durk isn't just being linked to Stephon Mack's death, he's also accused of being behind the murder of Jam's baby mama after finding out Jam was wearing a wirelet that sink in. This isn't just one man's legal drama anymore. This is a much bigger conversation about hip-hop culture and how staying real can sometimes come at the highest cost: your freedom. Let's be real, hip-hop has always been about authenticity from day one. It's been about repping your roots, staying true to where you came from and not switching up. But what happens when that realness, the same street stories, the raw lyrics, the unfiltered lifestyle becomes evidence in a federal murder case? What happens when keeping it real means keeping it real in front of a jury? This tension has been building for decades, and now Lil Durk's case might be the one where it all explodes, because the same street credibility that made him a voice of the people is now what prosecutors say makes him the leader of a criminal empire.
That's where it all started at, you know what I'm saying? Just the rap, the whole stop going to school.
That authenticity, that connection to the hood, that refusal to fake it for mainstream acceptance, these are the exact qualities that made Durk a superstar, but now prosecutors are allegedly trying to use those same qualities to build a RICO case. The irony is thick as hell. Durk's entire career was built on the principle that he was different from other rappers because he wasn't capping about his street life. He really lived it, he really came from it, and he never tried to distance himself from it, even after he got rich and famous. But here is where it gets really complicated in a world where keeping it real is the ultimate currency. How do you maintain that credibility without potentially incriminating yourself? The legal implications of this case extend far beyond just Durk's personal situation, but fortunately for him, the defense seems confident about their position, and that confidence suggests there might be more to this story than meets the eye. Lil Durk's legal team has said that he will not face charges, which is a remarkably bold statement, unless they know something that gives them serious confidence. I mean, that's not the move you make unless you genuinely believe the evidence is insufficient for prosecution, perhaps. All this evidence that looks so damning in news reports doesn't actually hold up under legal scrutiny, maybe. The text messages and social media posts aren't as conclusive as they appear. Maybe the whole case is built on speculation no one knows for. Certainly Lil Durk has always walked the line between storytelling and real-life confession. He ain't just rapping about the trenches, he came from them, and if you listen close, some fans say he's been dropping clues for years after Durk was killed. Durk's music took a darker turn. They started sounding like thinly veiled threats in tracks like Still Running Red Man and Pissed Me Off. He raps about betrayal, revenge, and not trusting the people around him. To the casual fan, these are just tough bars. But to those watching the real-life timeline unfold, Defang's death, the quiet tension in the city, and now Stephon Mack's murder, they sound eerily specific. Some fans believe Durk was speaking on Stephon directly without saying his name. Others think he was expressing the kind of grief that turns to retaliation, the kind the streets understand too well. And now that the footage has surfaced, people are doubling back to his lyrics with fresh ears, asking, was he telling us all along? Before this footage dropped, Lil Durk was on top of the World Platinum Plaques Arena tours. Major features had finally crossed over from Chicago drill rapper to full-blown mainstream artist, but now all that momentum is hanging in the balance. If the footage is confirmed to be Durk, this could trigger a whole new criminal investigation. Even if he's not arrested, the public pressure alone could shake up everything: his endorsements, his label relationships, even his ability to tour. We've seen happen before. Once the streets start talking, the law ain't far behind, and the courtroom isn't the only place watching. The music industry is paying attention. Two artists might distance themselves, brands could pull back, and fans, especially the ones who've lost people to violence, might start looking at Durk differently. He's no longer just the voice of the trenches. He might be the face of a revenge killer. Even if Lil Durk walks free, the shadow of this case will follow him. Every lyric will be dissected, every move will be watched, every silence will speak volumes. This footage didn't just shake the internet, it cracked open a whole new chapter, one that could rewrite the end of Lil Durk's story, because now nothing's the same. The streets are whispering louder, the fans are watching closer, and the game, it just changed forever.
In LA, they all had lifestyle, and also I got to learn of different cities. So now I know, now I want to take it overseas.
If the allegations against Lil Durk are true, then it means that the path from the trenches to success might not be as clean or as redemptive as it appears on the surface. Perhaps the same loyalty and authenticity that helped Durk succeed artistically might have also kept him connected to conflicts and obligations that would ultimately threaten everything he built. The broader hip-hop community is grappling with some uncomfortable questions right now. Can you truly escape your past, and does success provide immunity from street conflicts, regardless of whether charges are eventually filed? The damage to Durk's reputation has already been done. The mere suggestion that Instagram posts and rap lyrics can be used as evidence in murder cases is sending shockwaves through the industry, and it won't end anytime soon. So whether Durk eventually gets charged, beats the case, or gets convicted, this case will likely have implications that extend far beyond one individual's fate, because this ain't just rap beef gone wrong. This is about revenge, retaliation, and some serious murder for hire allegations that got the whole hip-hop community shook. What do you think about these allegations? Put it down in the comment section, and don't forget to click on this next card on your